Hello, and welcome to Stephoodle. I am, unsurprisingly, Steph. And this is the closest thing you'll be getting to a holiday video from me. When I found out that one of my favorite doll artists, Craft, was hosting a collab for the first time on Instagram, I jumped at the chance to join. The theme was Winter Court, and with Katarina being known for handsome elf boys, it was the perfect excuse to take the plunge and make my first boy. To see the rest of the dolls in this collab, head on over to Instagram and check out the hashtag WinterCourtCollab2020. This collab has some of the most gorgeous dolls I have seen. Please go take a look at them. They all deserve your attention. I ended up being heavily inspired by Zoran Blitz on Instagram. Please go check him out. He does amazing makeup and wig styling. So let's get started. I'll be using this V doll from the BTS line. I'm only vaguely aware of K-pop. It's good, I'm just not a stan, as it were, and I'm a little more familiar with who Blackpink are, but these dolls really caught my eye for the articulation alone. The clothes feel absolutely awful though, so let's take those off and warm the head up with a hairdryer so I can remove it. Then I cut off his hair, scraped the rest out from the inside with a screwdriver, and removed it through the neck hole with tweezers. I removed the factory paint using pure acetone, but it was a struggle. I heard the new pixelated digital printing that Mattel is using was harder to remove, but wow, it was way more difficult than I expected. I really had to scrub at it. I also think this is when I ended up accidentally scratching the vinyl around his left eye. But no time to dwell on that though, it's time for sculpting. I drew several sketches while trying to figure out his design, and I really liked the way he looked with horns, so horns he shall have. I make an armature by using 2 pieces of wire, one longer piece folded in half and one shorter piece. I insert the 2 ends of the longer wire into the 2 existing holes in the head. Twist the ends together with my pliers to secure them from the inside, then pull the wires from the outside to hide the connection inside the head. I hope that made sense. I really struggled with how to word this at all, so I insert the short wire into an adjacent hole and twist the end of the wire into sort of a flat circle shape before pulling it back through from the outside. Then I can twist both sections together to create an armature for the horns that has a strong sort of triangular base. I bent the armature wire into the shape I want, and then trim off any excess wire. It's epoxy sculpt time! I mix equal parts A and B, and then I begin filling in the basic shape of the horns in my first pass, using water to smooth everything out as I sculpt. I also sculpted his pointy ears. I was really the most scared of that part, honestly, but it was a lot more simple than I thought it would be, and using dotting tools and my teeny silicone tools really helped. They still turned out a little rough, but now I have this experience for next time, which is all good. For the second pass on the horns, I added a thin layer of epoxy and used an awl to create that sort of ridgy texture like you see on goat and sheep horns. After letting everything cure overnight, I sanded everything down, but made sure to keep the texture on the horns. I painted the horns and his head black, because I thought it would give dimension to his silvery reroot later, but that meant he looked like Maleficent for a while. I did my best to mix up a color match for his ears with the paint I had on hand. It's definitely not perfect at all, but since I was going to be covering them with pastels later, it didn't have to be perfect. Then I went over the horns again with a metallic black and created a gradient with a gunmetal blue. Later on, I decided to add some dry brushing with gold, but you'll see that at the end. I'll be using the Silver Moon nylon from Retro Dolls UK for the reroot. I reroot using the sewing method, which you can see more in depth in my video for Willow, which I will link down below. But the basic idea is to take a small bit of hair, fold it in half around a piece of thread, thread the thread through a large doll needle, stab it into the head through one of the existing holes and out through the neck hole. Make sure that the loop of hair is sticking out through the neck hole. Then do it all again, only this time loop the previous bit of hair over the needle as you pass it through the neck hole. Then remove the thread and pull that first bit taut from the outside. The piece of hair that you just rooted is holding that first piece in. Repeat that all around, starting with the hairline and working inwards. When you reach the end of a section, tie the last two bits of hair together with one of the threads, then pull them both taut from the outside. I completed most of this reroot off camera, as it was really difficult to work around the horns. I also didn't always loop the hair plugs over each other properly, so I ended up using some glue this time to help keep everything in place. Once dry, I did a preliminary boil wash and let the hair dry overnight before wrapping everything up in preparation for the face-up. I used 2 layers of Mr. Super Clay to start, and then once every so often to save my progress when I can't build any more color. I ended up wiping the first face up I did. He seemed a bit too bland, and I was having trouble with the scratched eye that I mentioned earlier. So I started over and decided to give him a scar over that eye to make it part of his overall design. I think it gave him so much more personality and really brought him to life. Just a quick aside, I think I overbooked myself these past few months. I ended up working a little too much, a little too hard, and that's why these videos have taken a little longer to get out. Yeah, I think I've just pushed myself a little too hard. In the new year, I think I will take part in less collabs, because I think that was where my issue was. As you probably noticed, like, only one of my videos is not for a collab, and I think that was a bit rough on myself. I still want to get out at least one video a month because I think that's very doable. So I'm still going to do a couple of collabs, but mostly I'm going to focus on doing my own thing for a little bit. I mixed some micro pearl Perlex powder with white acrylic paint for his iris. Then I added accents with gold acrylic. And then gave him a dusting of the micro pearl powder for a bit of an ethereal glow, before giving him a final 2 sprays of MSC. Since his outfit is going to be fairly revealing, I decided to sand off his molded underwear, and used a nail buffer to prep the surface for blushing. I planned to add a dark gradient to his arms and legs, so I colored in his wrists and ankle joints with black Sharpie, so that'll stand out a little bit less. Then I sprayed him with a coat of MSC and got to work. I decided to add chest and back tattoos that look like rays of light. As with the face, I added gold accents with acrylic paint and gave him a dusting of Micro Pearl Pearlex powder before spraying him with 2 final coats of MSC. I could finally remove the covering from his head. I cut and styled his hair in several braids off camera as I wasn't sure what was going to work, and if I'd filmed it, my head would have been in the way the entire time. I heated the head up with a hairdryer, but I had the worst time getting his head back on. One of his ears broke off in the process. I ended up trimming down the neck peg, but even then it was a struggle. Once his head was back on, I used super glue to reattach his ear, then touched it up with some of the gunmetal blue paint, which I also added to his feet and hands as there was some chipping that I wanted to cover up. I ended up sealing him later with matte varnish after all this because I didn't have time to get it done before the deadline. I made this dress romper thing based on the updated version of that famous green Versace dress that Jennifer Lopez wore. It seemed like it would be suitably extra and fairly easy to put together. I added some faux fur yarn trim because this is a winter court event after all. And with that, he's done. I can honestly say that this was my favorite photo shoot that I've done so far. He was so fun to pose. I decided to name him Borealis because of the winter theme in his light ray tattoos. Is he some sort of deity? Probably. But he never mentions it, and most people are too intimidated by his sheer extraness to ask. What really matters is that he's a keen observer that knows how to party. I also couldn't resist taking a couple of photos of him with Nadia, since they look so good together on my shelf. We have no choice but to stand infernal besties. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more, and click the bell icon to get notified every time I post a new video. You can also follow me on Instagram at @StephUdall, where I am nearly at 1K followers, which means we are really close to a giveaway. So head on over to Instagram to keep up to date with that, and to get a sneak peek at my work in progress for the giveaway doll. I'm really looking forward to working on her. I hope everyone has an okay holiday season. Whether you celebrate anything or not, stay safe, and I'll catch you in 2021. Bye!